This is Papa Joe Barfield with the San Antonio Real Estate Journal. I'm here with my good friend and client Barbara, who recently closed on her purchase of the Gould-Onderdonk house, which is an historic landmark here in San Antonio. How are you today, Barbara?
I'm great, thank you.
Great. Now, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you about your relationship with the Onderdonk house. First of all, what is it that attracted you to that house?
Well, I like the history of it. I was looking for a one-story house in the Monte Vista area, and I love the walkable neighborhoods here. The house itself is really interesting. I like its quirkiness because it's facing backwards, which is
Tell us a
an
little
interesting
bit.
feature.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, apparently when it was first built, it actually had an Ashby address, Ashby Place or Ashby Street, and then that front part of the land on the south of the property was sold off and another house was built there. And the Onderdonk house's address changed to French Place, but the back of the house is actually facing French Place. So when you're standing at what is now the front of the property, you're actually looking at the back of the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite an interesting house, and it's amazing that it's been there since 1888.
Yeah, the history of it is fascinating,
right,
too, that generations of Texans lived there.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you would purchase such an historic property, because I think there's a bit of history in your own family, isn't there?
Yeah, my great-great-great-uncle was the president of the Republic of Texas, Mirabeau Lamar.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So I think you have a pretty deep-seated sense of history, and a real love for Texas.
So that really appealed to me when I saw that historical plaque. That really caught my interest.
Well, speaking of historical plaques, that house is a state historic landmark, and it's also in an historic district. So when you begin your renovation, or when you make your plans for your renovation of that house, I think there are a lot of people that are going to want to give you their opinion on your renovation plans. Does that daunt you a little bit?
Well, maybe there's things I don't know that I should, but I don't really feel too nervous about it because we want to make it look historical. My goals are not to modernize it or anything. We want to keep the windows like they are and so forth. So really, I'm looking at the historical committee actually as maybe providing help rather than being adversaries.
Right.
I hope that's the way it'll turn out anyway.
Well, I think that your attitude is a good one for approaching a project like that. I've talked to quite a few people who've done renovations, and those who have had good solid plans tell me that they really didn't have any difficulty, and in fact they had a productive interaction with the various organizations that had a voice in their plans.
Oh,
so
good.
I think your attitude in approaching the house is going to be a great advantage. Can you tell me a little bit about your specific plans for the renovation?
One thing we want to do is paint it a lighter color, and I hope they'll let us do that. We're thinking of a pastel yellow, perhaps, just to brighten it up. Other than that, the exterior is going to look quite a bit like it does now, except it'll be spiffed up.
Yes.
You know, it'll be painted, and I think we're going to have to replace some of the roofing, that sort of thing. The foundation will have to be completely redone. The inside, we're still working on the plans to figure out exactly how we want to put the kitchen and the dining area and the living areas and so forth.
Well, I have to confess to you, when you first told me about your interest in that house, I was kind of shocked myself because I thought it was pretty ramshackle. But when I recently walked around at the inside of the house with you, I was amazed at how sound and how well preserved the details of the house are. So that house is actually in much better shape than a lot of newer houses here in San Antonio. So I think you have a very good subject for your renovation.
Yeah, we're real excited about it.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
Well, I think that your purchase of the house has actually made the world a little better place.
I hope
because
so.
instead of thinking about totally changing the character of the place, you're actually going to preserve some of that history there. And I think it's going to be a wonderful place.
Yeah, and you're going to help us with the landscaping, right?
I hope so. I hope you'll let me help in any way I can.
That's another thing that really appeals to me because I'm a gardener, and it's a nice big lot with
Yes,
a
it
really
is.
interesting garden space and some interesting stonework there that I would like to keep it there and repair it rather than
Great.
remove it.
Great. Well, I hope that we can visit periodically during your renovation. And I'm looking forward to your project. So let's hope that things start off well pretty soon with your renovation. And let's plan on chatting about it at future moments.
Great.
So that's it for this morning. This is Papa Joe Barfield with the San Antonio Real Estate Journal. And thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.